Welcome to the Shoot to Grill podcast. I'm your host. My name is Jason Bailey. Of course, my producer Nate is with me with his fake background. That's not really his office people. Our chef Matty J from Mabel's, excuse me, and our special celebrity guest. You have no idea how excited I am to have Gavin Rossdale from Bush on the podcast. How you guys doing?
How are you?
Good. First off, Gavin, I see the same background as I've been seeing on social media with all these, quarantine concerts that you've been doing. Is that the place that you're doing them all right there?
Yeah, this actually is my bedroom, but I've been doing my TV studio such as downstairs. I got the luxury of holding the phone right now, so I can be anywhere I want. But yeah, my dining room has now become a little TV studio, and take it from there. Yeah.
One would think that, you've been in the business a long time, that you would already have and be prepared for a self-isolation concert with a studio ready to run, like a Dave Grohl studio. You don't have that at the Rossdale camp?
Well, it's funny. I don't have a studio in my house. I used to have one in my house, but then the problem you get is that I used to find myself putting my kids down and be like, please go to sleep, I got a mix to do. So they just, you know what I mean? They start to feel like the second most interesting thing to be done in the house. So I separated that. So no, I don't have a studio in my house anymore. Keep it separate.
So now you're kind of kicking yourself. You're like, man, I should have seen this pandemic coming. This whole Zoom thing would have been a lot easier if I would have had my studio, right?
Right, but no, it's okay. My studio was it's a beautiful place. I had it for two years, and but I found myself on tour a lot. And when I was on tour, I found myself thinking, why am I spending all this money to have this big studio? I'm on tour, so this was like, I was touring to pay for the studio. I wasn't in. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So I gave it up.
Do you have any close buddies? Well, you're in LA right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have any close buddies that you will go to their house that they have a studio?
I recorded at Dave's studio, actually. You talk at Dave's studio. I did my drums on my last record at Dave's studio.
Oh, so, really?
Really, really well. Yeah. But so, a few people, the guy that I wrote a bunch of songs on the record, Tyler Bates, he has a studio around the corner. In fact, I'm going to record a song with him. So I'm just like a, studio slut, I go everywhere.
Studio slut. Dude, when you go to Grohl's studio, because I've talked to him about this before. I mean, this was years and years ago. And I kind of asked him a very similar question, if these walls could talk, because I know, so I have a connection with his wife. I'm friends with her best friend, and right. I know how they met and when he and Jordan met and all that stuff. So anyway, from what I understand, he's got barbecues at his house all the time. It's kind of very social at Dave Grohl's house. So I'm assuming you guys eat your food, you drink your drinks, and you're like, let's go into the studio and jam a little bit. Is that how that works?
Well, they're different locations. His studio's not at his house, so they're slightly different. But I know he's been we have kids at the same school, so I see him a lot. And I think he just really got into barbecuing. I mean, really, really, really heavily got into his smoking stuff, and fair play to him,
Yeah. What about you? I mean, I'm waiting. I don't know where Matty's at. I think he's looking for meat or something, but I want him to go through what he's going to be cooking for us here in a second and how he's going to be cooking. But what about you, Gavin? Do you grill at all?
I do grill. I have a green egg, and so I love to get that going, and nothing beats the flavor of a real kind of charcoal and wood combination and stuff like that. Yeah. So I do love it. I'm not that I haven't done that much smoking. Smoking is not my favorite flavor profile, but I like it. But I do a lot of cooking, and so I grill a lot. And for me, it's just a beautiful thing to sit and eat together. Breaking bread is where it's at.
Yeah, amen to that. Do you find it therapeutic at all?
Yeah, I mean, I cook a lot. I'm great for your show because I'm all about cooking. So you bring that chef out there, and I'll be like, I love chefs. If I hadn't been a musician, I would have probably worked in a kitchen, you know, and I totally get along with chefs and respect the whole form. And to me, the way you cook things and whatever it is such a, it's just an incredible thing, because it's like alchemy. It's like music, it's like getting the best out of your ingredients, knowing how to cook everything, understanding different, with meat, different cuts of meat to different things, and the way you cook and techniques and all that. I go everywhere from like sous vide to my green egg to like, to my blowtorch. I'm all about it.
Yeah, I say this often on the show, is that there's not a better feeling than having a signature dish, whatever that might be, having people over your house and them bragging about what they just ate that you cooked, days or years. I mean, I've got people that are like, are you doing the flying Hawaiian turkey burgers at the Bailey house? And I'm like, that's a huge compliment. Do you have a signature go-to?
Sure. And if you can resurrect a turkey to being anything good on a burger, you got a good handle in the kitchen. That's the last ingredient I put in a burger. Turkey. That's like punishment. What have they done wrong for that? It's like people are in trouble. Don't tell your chef guy that. It's nearly akin to ordering chicken in a restaurant. You know what I mean?
Well, Matty J is a phenomenal cook, Gavin. I mean, some of the stuff that he's done on the show has been just amazing. And for those that are watching or listening, you can always go to the website, shootthegrillpodcast.com, and see the recipes, how he cooks it. So like you cooking with a green egg, similar style with the ceramic Kamado cooking, he's going to cook on the Kamado Joe. That's what I have back here. That's what Matty J has got behind him. Matty, do you want to run down what you're going to do so we can watch?
Man, I'm just kind of enjoying listening to Gavin and,
Hey, Chef.
So I think that's dope, man, that you're a green egger. We have the Kamado. It's very similar. In fact, it was started by some guys who were big green egg fanatics and then just kind of wanted to innovate. So it's pretty much, very much the same thing. So I don't kind of got to break that down to you. You get it. Today, I'm going to do a sort of Korean short rib, just something nice. And I think people can kind of do while they're still at home in certain places, nice and easy on the grill. Little cherry wood, very Asian flavors, quick and easy. Nothing too heavy. It's just really all in the preparation. I think it kind of goes well with California lifestyle, right? It's very, very, very
Korean. Very Korean.
The Korean lifestyle, right? Yeah.
Korean lifestyle.
Yeah. Matty, you kind of have that max headroom thing going on. So until your Wi-Fi kicks back in, we're just going to kind of watch.
I like it. I think he's body popping. It's cool.
It's that old 80s max headroom thing, go like this. So just what are you going to cook it on the normal rack up top, and what temperature?
What about the marinade? You got to marinate those bad boys. They just can't come out. They come out of the pack. They just got to you got to work those bad boys.
Can you hear us, Matty? Can you answer that? Oh, he's text him, Nate, and try to figure that out for us if you could. And we want to get Matty back because Gavin's salivating right now. He's like, I want my virtual self-isolation Asian short rib. So while he's doing that,
it's interesting about the short rib, though, right? You see, I make short ribs plenty of times for my boys. I like cheap cuts of meat, that shanks and short ribs, and then slow cooking, because there's a beautiful thing. I have this whole thing, which is why I'm interested with your style of cooking, because you can do, even those on there, it doesn't have to be quick. I mean, short rib is the quickest way of cooking it, because they're cutting it the other way on the rib, whereas we keep the whole thing to make the short rib. So it's interesting to do that. But do you do any slow cooks on there with the barbecue, or are they all quick cooks?
Oh,
Matty?
No, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, that's a lot better. Good, yeah, perfect.
I needed some shade. My MacBook is burnt bacon.
Not a problem.
Probably, Gavin, this weekend I'm actually going to do what's called beef plate ribs, so the big dino ribs.
Right.
Those are going to take like about 5 to 8 hours. I'll do brisket, a whole pack of brisket. That takes 8 to 12 hours, depending, you know. So yeah, no, I do a lot of low and slow as well.
Yeah, low and slow is great. Do you know, there's Heston Blumenthal, is a famous chef in England. He has a 24-hour roast, rib roast, 24 hours, very, very low, like, you know, 140 degrees, 145 degrees, 12 hours straight. And you just cook it, and it's quite an incredible piece of meat. And, you know, because that French thing about how you rest it for half the amount of time you cook it.
Right. Wow.
What's your go-to, what are the kids like at the house, Gavin?
Oh, the kids, they, well, we go a combination of, when they're not with me, I do a lot of slow cooking. So I do like a whole day of cooking. So I'll do like a big pot of like the mirepoix, right? So that the bases of all sauces. So I do like a big, like, you know, 5 onions, you know, 2 packs of carrots, you know, 10 garlic bulbs. So you cook it all up. And at the same time, I'll do like a veal stew, do a short rib, just do a couple of different bologneses, and then freeze it. And then when they're with me, half the time I get to take those main ingredients out and just defrost it. That takes that time away, not always doing that big dish. But my boys just, they have, you know, it's like, I'm sure it's like with you, chef, with you people you cook for, they get really stuck up with their opinions as to how things should taste. You give kids the right food their whole life, they walk in a restaurant, they go, man, this is really under-seasoned. What's happening around here? So I got like budding, you know, restaurant critics I got to cook for every day. And they know their stuff, you know, they don't mess around. So you got to keep me on point, you know?
My daughter's 14, and she appreciates the hard work when I go into cooking, whether it's, you know, something that I'm smoking for 12 hours or just throwing it on the grill. But she would much rather take a trip to Starbucks and then pass a Chick-fil-A, and she would be a lot happier that way.
My kids like Chick-fil-A. They're always begging for that. I'm like, hell no. But, you know, every now and again, you know, it's all good. Don't keep them away from that, you know.
So, Matty, before you start, Gavin was asking about the marinade, and then follow that up with the temperature and where you're cooking it in the Kamado Joe.
Yeah, no worries, man. Gavin, this is fun, man. I mean, so basically, I've just been marinated about an hour, 2 hours, because it's such a, like, as you said earlier, it's a thin cut of meat. So I did black garlic bean sauce, soy sauce. Actually, I did soya sauce, which is more of a Caribbean version of the soy sauce, just to kind of give it a little bit different flavor. Garlic chili and a little umami powder dust.
Nice.
And then kind of rub it in really well, let it marinate in the fridge. And then, like I said, we're going to put it on for today's cook because of, you know, we only got an hour, so I got to get something kind of hot.
Yeah, it's quick. It's so quick. It's beautiful, you know. We go to Korean barbecues a lot, you know, here in LA. They have fantastic Korean barbecues, and you know, they all love to go. Yeah, we get the big plates of everything and all those side dishes. I mean, the Koreans know how to live.
Oh yeah,
they were really good with the coronavirus as well. Smart country.
And it's important to put it in the fridge, right, Matty? Because that's going to create like this gel around the meat after about 45 minutes. That goes for any meat. Correct.
Yeah, I believe in, you know, refrigerating. Like you said, also with those sauces, they break down the meat to tenderize them as well. So it's not only for.
We got to cook at room temperature, right? We can't cook anything cold, please. No, we don't. We got to cook it at room temperature, right, chef?
Well, there's different theories about that, and we talk about that in our barbecue groups all the time. So there are some people, man, that will pull stuff out of the freezer and put it on. That's not me, but there are guys.
Yeah, I've seen that technique where you literally cook a steak from frozen.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you know, any sort of traditional chef will tell you that whilst refrigeration is important because of bacteria and stuff, that you have to cook from a room temperature point of view, because otherwise the meat, the fibers are all like, everyone's uptight. No one's even arrived at the party yet to relax. Everyone's got to be relaxed, kicking back, all the cell structures leaning back, and then bang, the heat. Otherwise, you know what I mean? You got a bad party in your mouth. No one
I
wants
was I was told that when I first, and I think the green eggs got something similar, for this the KJ, the Jotisserie, where there's this big ring you put on top and then a spit, then you put a basket, you throw wings in. When I first got it, because I'm still learning as I go, and I've had it for a couple of years, but I'm always learning something new, to put the wings in frozen. I was like, that's weird. But what I found is that I can put more wings in if they're not frozen. So I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And I was told they're going to taste better. I can't taste the difference. I don't even know why the theory behind that. No idea. I'm more of a let it sit like you're talking about, Gavin. Let it marinate and get that fresh meat, and then you put it in, and then you cook it up. It tastes better to me.
I mean, with the chicken wing, and or did you do it with the wings? You say?
Yeah, the wings. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so little meat on them that there's like, by the time you've got them through, it doesn't matter if they came from Antarctica. They'd be like, dang, you know what I mean? It doesn't last long. So.
I still want to get what's it called, Matty J? The big steak with the chopstick steak.
Tomahawk.
Thank you. The tomahawk. I'm terrified to cook the tomahawk steak because it's like $150 piece of meat. And I'm afraid I'm going to screw it up. I think I would cry knowing that I screwed up that piece of meat. I'm terrified of it.
Meat temperature. There's your answer. There's a meat temperature. That's gonna sort you out.
Yeah, I know, really.
Gavin, have you been to Standings Butchery in LA?
No, where?
It's on Melrose, not too far from Mazza.
No.
Yeah.
I love. There used to be one right near Monza that turned into a fish stall run by these married lesbian couple from Brooklyn, and you'd go in there, and they had the super coolest, hottest tattooed girls with a leather waistcoats and the harnesses and the big butcher's knives. It was amazing. Lindy and Grundy's, it was called, and that was a revelation. Now we have McCall's, which is run by ex-chef and his wife, and they do great meat. But I love butchers. It's very hard to find good meat in LA. So,
yeah.
What's it called?
It is. I don't want to tell you wrong. It's Standings.
Standings. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, and they do a lot of farm grass-fed. Like I said, not too far off of Melrose and Highland.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's right near where Lindy and Grundy's used to be. I wonder if they moved into that on La Brea.
Maybe, space.
Maybe they moved into that thing, because I used to go there and used to take the kids, and we'd go into the back room, and they'd show us all around, and I got friendly with them because they used to do for me. I love shabu shabu, and one of the wives was Japanese, so I used to go take a plate in there and deliver the plate at night, and they'd freeze their ribeye, and then they slice it from frozen, and in the morning I'd go and pick up a plate, huge plate, because it's really easy to make a shabu shabu at home. It's just like 2 or 3 sauces: the sesame sauce, the ponzu sauce, and then you make a little broth, a little dashi, and then a few vegetables, and then you have these plates of meat. And my kids would love that. You do with rice, and they're cooking for themselves, and then choosing their dip. I say the ponzu and the sesame, but so I miss that. That's that artisan life, I do love that, and I miss that. So
when did you start cooking? When did you have time to learn all this stuff? You've been touring since for 30 years.
Yeah, it's just something that I do, and I think that when I get home, it's even more powerful than ever. To be home and to be cooking and to be breaking bread, and for my kids to see me in the kitchen the whole time. I think it's I don't know. It's just something that I've always done, and I've gotten better at it, and it's just an incredible hobby because you get to share it with everyone, and you try not to screw it up so people want to come back and eat. And I have a knack for it. I'm not a chef like you're a chef. I'm just a home cook, but I know that my food tastes great and it looks great. But I'm not a professional chef by any means. But I definitely surprise people when I cook. People are like, what?
That's awesome. All right, Matty, you want to go ahead and start up the short ribs?
Yep.
Please.
You guys continue, and I'll be back.
It's thanks, Matty. So like usually, Gavin, how this works pre-pandemic is that we were on set at a place in Atlanta, in Roswell, Georgia. and Matty would come out or another chef, and we'd cook it, and the guests would be there, and we'd eat, and it was cool. We could actually taste it. Coronavirus hits, bam. Welcome to the Zoom world and virtual food. But the cool thing about it is, like all the people that I can have on the show now, and like yourself. So there's pros and cons to the coronavirus, obviously, in the entertainment world. How are you holding up with the self-isolation? Are you going stir crazy yet?
No, no. I mean, it's this weird luxury of being home, so I'm not as thrown by it. But no, it's more like I just feel like I'm in that sort of holding pattern. You know what I mean? I just feel myself standing still, like waiting for something to happen. Seeing what's going to go on and trying to follow the news. I mean, I've kind of given up on the news. I can't relate. There's this political squabbling, and it's just CNN, which I do love, seems to be just picking apart everything that Trump said over and over. And Fox is picking apart everything Trump said and saying how great it is. I just want to move on and talk about the coronavirus and where we're going, and when's there going to be sport back in our lives, and when we can go eat, and when can I play a rock show? That's what,
Right.
That's what I'm thinking about. And I realized that people are obviously really struggling, really, economically, health-wise, people have been dying. It's just, there's no room for anyone like mine's complaints of stir crazy. I can't even factor it. I can't take myself seriously if I don't have a complaint in the world about this, apart from wanting to see my kids because they're in Oklahoma right now.
Yeah, well, that's tough, and a lot of, for our radio show, Nate and I have a friend that, there was split custody, and they were using it as kind of an excuse not to drop the kids off. Not saying that's the situation in your case, but
right.
just in general, to not have your kids there sucks.
Isn't it weird, like how every situation spawns 15,000 different permutations? So one beleaguered set of people is parents, co-parents, because nobody wants to share their ex's household, right? I don't trust who's been around that house, who's been around your yard. I can tell you who's been around here. So there's that side of it that it's really difficult. And I find it easy because if I just prioritize my kids, I just say, well, they were here the first couple of weeks of the whole thing, and we went through that period together. And then 4.5 weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago yesterday, they left to go to Oklahoma. And I just accepted it because it's better for them. Now I could have made them come back a week later, but then to what end? It's just like they're in a good space. They're where they are, and it finishes soon. They'll be back soon enough. So it's just an adventure.
It's also funny, people that you would normally trust with simple things like, I haven't been anywhere. You find yourself second guessing everyone and everything. You're like, all right, I want to believe you, but where did you get that shirt? You had to have gone somewhere. It's the little things. It's kind of like the post 9/11. You walk onto a plane and you catch eyes with somebody and you go, we're on the same team, right? That kind of thing.
Right. Well, unfortunately, in the divorced family world, unlikely, you're literally on opposite teams. So there's not much stock for anyone believing in what anyone else is doing, I'm afraid.
Yeah. So you've recorded the new album, supposed to be out later this summer, The Kingdom. You're planning a tour. Last year, you were on tour with Live, celebrating 25 years, and same with them. Love Live, love Ed Kwolachek. They were for Throwing Copper. You guys were 16 Stone. So where does this put you guys? Did you get a phone call and somebody says, look, all these dates that we were booking or everything we were done is just in a holding pattern right now, or does that come from you?
It comes from the very, very obvious state of the world. No one even needed to say it to us. I mean, my manager's saying, although they haven't canceled the summer so far, like, who cares what they've done so far? It doesn't matter. We all know it's doomed and no one's doing that. So it just is obvious. I mean, I woke up this morning to the Guardian newspaper where they're talking about how the different number of experts saying that there won't be any sport events until middle of 2021. No stadiums, no large gatherings, because it's just, they can't guarantee, until there's a vaccine, they cannot guarantee everyone's safety. So I just like, you know, did that one of like laying back in the pillow, kind of going, oh shoot, this is going on a bit long. I think as I love playing, I shouldn't have the time to do this. I should be on stage in Australia right now.
Right. Yeah.
Leave me down under. But instead, I'm, you know, watching your chef make short ribs. You know, like my
What sport will you miss most without a live crowd, whether attending or not?
Well, I have there's my favorites would be tennis world. I love English soccer. I really have gotten way more into the NFL, and my eldest son is, I think before coronavirus, he did want to be an NFL player. So we're training for that, getting ready. As a big season starting for him. He's playing contact for the first time.
Wow.
So I wasn't really into it, but since he doesn't want to really do much else, I was like, okay, well, let's see how it goes. So that, I guess, is on hold now. So I got my weird paternal wish there that he doesn't get like hit blindsided by like big youth without seeing it. But I've enjoyed it, and you know, what's really helped me is watching those 24/7, those HBO in-depth shows about the teams, and watching. I saw Dallas Cowboys, and you saw them Bengal Tigers, and they do it on some of the soccer. And I love watching behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I'm a big, you know, tennis player. I'm a big soccer player, so I love team sports and how the dressing rooms work and the energy, the coaches, how the coaches speak to the players, how they get the best out of them. I love all that. So I just miss the whole world of sport. You know, I'm one of those rare things, and you know, not all musicians like sport. You know, it's kind of seem like jocks, but I kind of straddle both worlds, and I think that you know, I miss all sports. You know, NBA. As well, you know, I love watching that. Ice hockey, that's a great sport.
I'm a big tennis fan as well. I actually host the big tennis tournament Atlanta has every year. I play probably 4 times a week. Been playing for 22 years. Love tennis.
Oh wow! Great.
Yeah. And I knew that about you. And you're like in the, you know, there's very few celebrities that are in the tennis world. You know, you have like Elton John is a big tennis fan. Justin Timberlake's a big tennis fan. Will Ferrell's a big tennis fan. You know, so it's always cool to see it supported from that side, because tennis has so much more to offer. And I say that all the time. I used to also host the New York Open, not the US Open, the New York Open. And I would tell them, I'm like, guys, you know, with my style, we have to do like this WWE version of tennis. There's a good guy and a bad guy, right? You know, we just had Rafa in town to play Grigor for an exhibition.
I know, I was invited to that. I got invited to that.
Dude, I hosted that. Where were you? This would have been great.
You know Remy? You know Remy?
Yeah, Remy and Trevor. Yeah, with Premier.
They invited me to that, and I was just literally had I had my kids that week. It was last minute. They invited me to Necker as well. I was so sad to not go to Necker. I played with Remy's house when I went to Atlanta last time.
Oh, did you really? Yeah, I'm trying to weasel my way into the Necker Island the gig. I'm like, I'll do whatever you want. I'll bust tables. Just let me get there.
I think it's called $25,000. I think is what they're looking for.
I know. I'm going to ask Richard Branson,
but I'm really
if
good.
I can borrow.
I'm 5.0. That's okay. We got
that. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So do you get to play with those guys? Like, I know you and Federer are buddies, and I'm guessing.
Yeah, I've done I play with them all the time, which is really fun, I think, because, you know, if you play a lot, you understand. So I'm not taking those guys out, but I can hang with them. I can train with anyone. So it's really fun to just get out there and hit with those guys and to see what it is that makes them so incredible, and the timing and the technique. And yeah, I mean, I've been lucky enough to play with not the newer generation. You know, that's a little bit, that's not my world, but certainly every tennis player, every American tennis player, from the Bryan brothers, Marty Fish, James Blake, Thomas Blake as well, Sam Querrey, you know, those guys, the Bryan brothers, all those, you know, I love those guys and hit with them loads.
Yeah, and they're all great dudes.
Great
John
dudes.
Isner. John Isner, he's a Georgia guy, you know, and he's kind of the king of our tournament here for obvious reasons. But they have these great, most of them have these great personalities that the tennis world doesn't pull out of them. You know, like if you're a Fed or a Rafa, you can do whatever you want. With the younger guys, they're not sure if they're allowed to be themselves. So I'm always trying to pull this stuff out of them. And ESPN or Tennis Channel's like, shut this guy up. Stop asking him dumb questions like, what's your tattoo about? I'm like, ask them anything about anything but tennis. They don't want to talk about tennis. I promise you.
Yeah. I mean, like Nick Kyrgios is the one. I love him. I think he's a great character. And you know, Medvedev, that guy, Danny Medvedev, he's the future. That kid is the future. That's the future world number one.
Yeah, they just do it, and it's so effortless. I get to play one of the pros like in a 10-point tiebreaker. You know, it's more for a radio bit and stuff. But man, I'd be lying if I told you I don't get ready for that. But like last year, Riley Opelka I got to play Riley. Such a great guy, and I'm just watching him. I'm like, you just woke up. You're at about 35, 40%, and I'm a 4-5 player. You know, I don't suck, and I'm going. You just make it look so easy. It's like you're on ice skates, just back and forth, and the strokes and the hips. I'm like, how does one do that? It's just, you must be born like that. That's absolutely amazing.
Well, I think you're born like that, but is one thing. But you also had great coaching and great playing and great effort for a long time. I mean, all those guys, you know, you would know, but most people wouldn't know. You know, any of those guys, professional tennis players, have been, since they're 11, 12 years old, hot-housed into playing tennis, you know, 4 hours a day. That's their whole thing. So it takes a lot.
Well, if you're in Atlanta in July, we would love to have you.
I would love
obviously,
to.
It's a great tournament. If it happens, you know, again, who the hell knows, you know, is it going to happen
this year, but it will happen next year.
Well, they haven't made the decision not to have it this year.
I'll tell you the decision. They're not having it.
You don't think what about the NFL? What about the NFL? You think they're going to do it without fans?
I think that they're talking about, I read this morning, they've got to do it when they've got some kind of virus against it, because it's so close quarters. You couldn't have it so the players themselves are susceptible to it. So by the time you get those guys able to play, surely, that's Murphy. That's Murphy Jensen for you. Oh, that's because I didn't say Murphy Jensen. Shoot, Murphy and Luke Jensen, one of the greatest tennis players, and that's their, you know, Atlanta, huge. So yeah, I think that I don't know. What do I know?
Yeah. Well, what do you plan on doing? I mean, if they don't have a vaccination, we still have to be in a similar situation. What will Bush do? I mean, will you just kind of say, we'll wait till 2021? We still release the album?
I don't know. It's a good question.
You don't know?
Very good question. Certain things I haven't been asking myself too much of because I don't have any answers. So yeah. I don't, you know, for me, it's day by day. We keep getting more information if we get the right information. And so that's what I'm focusing on, you know?
Yeah. So you, May 4th, 2012, do you remember where you were at May 4th, 2012?
May 4th, 2012?
8 years ago, almost to the day.
I don't know where I was last week. No, I do. I was here. But no, I don't know. What's the answer? What did I do?
The answer was you were in a studio with me in Orlando, Florida.
Oh.
you were playing a show, and the only reason I know that, and it's not a happy date, but it was the passing of Adam Yauch from the Beastie Boys.
Oh,
And
dear.
you came in the studio and you learned about his passing in my studio. And I felt uncomfortable at the time to elaborate on you talking about Adam, but you started. Now, this is 8 years ago, this conversation started. I would like to hear the rest of the story, but I, in really bad radio fashion, diverted to a different conversation for whatever reason. But you were roommates when you first came to the States with Adam, right, in Los Angeles?
Well, with not with Adam Yauch, with Ad Rock. I wasn't roommates. I had the girlfriend I had at the time. When I came to LA, we stayed with Adam and his girlfriend at the time, Ione. So my first time in LA, I just was with them for a couple of weeks. So it was for a couple of weeks down in West Hollywood, and that was it, you know. But great, what an amazing band, and you know, real sad.
Yeah. So for those days, you know, I mean, we're talking, you know, there's a lot of great bands, you know, not just the Beastie Boys, but Bush in that LA scene in the grunge almost kind of posty grunge era type of thing. Were you a part of the community of the Rainbow Room? I just watched the documentary, by the way, on Netflix, and it's awesome. But did the Rainbow Room do for you like it did for a lot of other bands coming out of LA?
I think that you know, we weren't from LA, so no,
right.
It wasn't the same way. Did I have been there? And I was just there a couple of weeks ago at another radio DJ, Eddie Trunk, had a show there, had a party there, and I went there with my manager. So I went to the Rainbow, and it was kind of fun going there and seeing all the old characters. But I've always been touring, you know. I don't have my scene has always been on festivals and part of music things, but I never got too into hanging in the Rainbow Room with Lemmy. Gwen didn't want to go. So annoying.
Oh, really? I just hear all these stories. I've been during
Jack
the day.
Daniels, babe. Come on, Jack Daniels is great.
You pull up that seat and play whatever card game that he used to play right there. I mean, I hear the stories. I never participated. I never had the opportunity to do that. You, every time I've seen you guys perform, and it's been a lot, you've never failed the crowd. Like whether it's a House of Blues with a 2,200 people venue or a festival with 50,000+, you just thrive off of that, right? I mean, that's just you on the road is your thing, right?
Yeah, it's just everything for me. I mean, you know, it's such an incredible life. I love my job, you know, and so to be able to go to effectively, that's like going to work or something and just loving it so much. I don't know. I get such a thrill from it. Some people get really depressed and don't like going on tour and don't like the monotony of the shows and the buildings and the city and the lonely days and the weird days off and the weather and the travel. But for some reason, I just love it. I love the extremes. I love the challenge of trying to sort of be good every night and to give a damn, you know, wherever you play. I don't care whether it's Topeka or whether it's New York City. It has to be amazing. You know, it has to be something powerful. And I also think that you're as good as your last show. So I don't know. I think it would just be like robbery to go out on stage and not just be prepared to die for what you're doing, you know, and not give it everything.
Do you ever worry about when you do the Beatles come together and you get out in the crowd and you go like far out, and I mean you're way out there. I don't know what kind of microphone they give you, but you got some distance on you. People are
wireless.
What, really wireless? I've used wireless, but you've got the good wireless. Us radio guys never get the good wireless. But when you do that, you always ever worried about somebody's like gonna grab something from you? I mean, you're really in the crowd.
Yeah, I've had a fair share of, you know, injuries and scratches and cuts and falls and lost jewelry and lost T-shirts, lost clothes, but yeah, kind of what makes it, you know what I mean? That element, and you know, the more contentious the situation, you know, like El Paso, Texas, like, don't go in the crowd. Please don't go in the crowd. It's 115 degrees, you know. And then you just feel like you have to, you know. So I just feel compelled. It just feels, I like breaking that wall, you know, that thing of being on stage and the audience, just breaking it and getting in there. You know, I love that.
Would you do it in a post self-isolation coronavirus world? Still do the same thing?
Would I have to go out there in a spacesuit?
with a mask and a bubble
suit,
under?
You know, like a full body size condom. You know, I've obviously thought about that. I love doing it, but we'll take it as it comes. I think by the time we get to do it, I think it'll be all right. You know?
Yeah,
Everyone
I hope so.
do it again. Yeah, I hope so.
Not last time before you were in Atlanta, you were at the Tabernacle, and I saw you, and I got the opportunity to come back and say hi with my wife, who she says hi, by the way, and watch you stage right. And I observed something very interesting, and since that time, I've wanted to know the story, if you can share. There was a girl that was also on stage. She was all tatted up, short, dark hair, very nice and pleasant. I briefly met her, but when you did Machine Head, you came over, whispered something to her, and she cried throughout the whole song. And I didn't know if there was some backstory, because from what I know, there's no the reason behind the song. There's no person behind the song, but I didn't know if she or somebody in her family had something to do with the song. Do you know who I'm talking about? Does this make any sense?
A beautiful girl with black hair and tattoos, and I'm whispering in her ear.
Well, yeah, but there was some kind of connection with the song. She was on stage. Her friend had said something about her brother and the song from the very beginning. I didn't know if there was some backstory about the meaning of the song and her family had anything to do with it. If not, I'll move on. But I was just
right. Yeah. I think I remember that, and that was just, you know, in those situations, they do happen quite a lot. You know, where people, you know, we flood people with memories. You know, it's like a soundtrack to their lives, and so that could be a situation. And there probably was a situation where there was a connection to the band and to the music, and boom, that was what she was liberated, taken back. I don't know. You know, it's a really emotive, high energy situation that does promote wide, deep feelings. You know, people do, you know, they have listened to us forever. You know, it's often reminding them of someone they've lost or a loved one or something like that. You know what I mean? Those kind of things really changing location because of the sound. Those are the kind of things that happen.
Yeah.
You know,
Does that get like kind of weird after a while? Do you ever get sick of hearing those stories?
Why she'd be crying. She's telling me about the next day's travel plans, and then felt bad after I'd been like, Jesus, how early are we leaving? Why are we leaving at 7? I don't know, you know. Or it could have been something really emotional, you know.
Yeah, I remember where I was when I bought the album. I remember every time that I've seen you guys perform. You know, I'm a huge mark for you guys. I have so many. I agree with the music soundtrack of our life. You guys were a huge part of my life at a certain portion of my life. But I can only imagine if I were you and you're touring and you have to hear these stories over and over again, not saying that you don't appreciate them, but it's like you really have to take the time to listen to these people tell possibly some of the saddest stories you've ever heard, right?
Yeah, and especially because the kind of lyrics that I've written, I do get, you know, a lot of people are moved by the words and, you know, have a big story that goes with it, but I've never once been, you know, wishing I was somewhere else. It's an incredible thing, because I think that people, to come when they talk to you, you know, they've taken, it takes a lot of courage to go up to someone who you like something that they do. And I think there's nothing worse than someone who you know, gets the courage up to go and talk to someone about something they like, and they get dismissed, or they don't get related to or listened to. It seems horrible. You'd be like, it's such a terrible thing to do. And I've never refused anyone a photograph. Sometimes if I have a really bad pimple or something like that, I've sort of, well, not now, like, put my hand over my face to cover some terrible affliction I've been picking out or something like that. You know what I mean? When I was a bit younger and had like more fertile skin, you know. So those are the times we're like, not now, my nose is really red. You know, I look terrible, or like, I've been up all night, I look awful, you know. This 7 a.m. airport shot, you know, you just like, you barely can, you know, he's like, oh, Jesus, you know. But you do, if you to say no to someone and to push them back from that moment of courage and where their heart's beating in their chest, it means they used to be your biggest fan, now they hate you forever. And I can't take that.
They'll turn heel.
They'll turn. Sort of, you know.
They'll turn on you in a second. I'm sure if you know, it's like, oh,
I think so you're like, I can tell you, I had a situation with who's that chef Alton Brown, right? The one who's on that Good Eats. Now we love cooking, right? I know lots of chefs. I know good chefs, like really great chefs that I'm friends with, right? They know that I have a passion for what they do. I have respect for what they do. And I saw him at the premiere of John Wick. I was so excited. He's not necessarily a great chef or anyone I'm that interested in, but at the same time, he knows so much technique that I'd love to sit and talk to him. So I tried to say hello to him. He's we were sat near him, and he's a very beautiful wife. And I tried to say hello to him twice. And I was like, hey, chef, I just want to say I'm a really big fan. Twice he kind of blanked me. Now, he may have really hard of hearing in his left ear, but he's seriously on ice in my life. I'm not saying that he's a jerk, but twice, you know, I generally hear anyone within a 5-foot radius who says, hey, to me. Now, I did it twice to him. Now, I don't know if he had a problem with me or whether he just is deaf in one ear. But so it was a real good lesson in like how I need to find someone who knows him and be like, is that guy a jerk or on what? You know, no, he's deaf.
Or is he deaf?
Deaf in his left ear. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's keep this equal opportunities. But for now, I'm a little on hold about that, dude. And I'm like, your show's not that great, you know?
I had a similar situation with I always forget his name. He's a British chef. He's big. He's ripped. He's got a couple television shows, and he's married to a professional wrestler, this Asian girl, and Gail Kim, I think. But his name's like Edwards or something. He's a big time chef. But I was at a wrestling match. My buddy's a wrestler. We're at this wrestling match, and he's sitting literally right next to me. And I'm like, oh my God, that's whatever, you know, at the time from the cooking show. And I went to meet him, big leagued, out of the building, like just not even, I was like, I just wanted to say hi and nice to meet you, but just didn't want anything to do with meeting me. I was like, man, you know, I'm not going to watch your show now. Just like if you were to turn down somebody that's a Bush fan, they're going to be like burning all of your albums in front of your house, probably.
It's just not worth it. It's so much quicker to say hello, take a picture, and move on. And that sort of self-righteous thing, people say they don't do pictures, don't do autographs. People don't really want autographs anymore. I did come up when people would like autographs as much as pictures, you know. But now that doesn't happen. It's just pictures. But so anyway, we'll see.
What about you being fans of other musicians? Like, you know, have you had the opportunity to go up to people that you idolize and do the things that we're talking about fans do to you?
Yeah, and the thing is the measure I find that of the people that are the easiest are the most talented. It's the middle ranking, less achieved individuals. You know, so I met Tom Waits once. He came backstage with his kids and a show in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And I love him, and he was incredible. And he was everything you wanted to be. I toured with Bowie twice. And he was everything I wanted him to be, you know. And so that's what I think. That's what I've experienced. And I think it's the middle rung. You know, the middle, a little bit more uptight, and a little bit more insecure.
Did you, because you some of your lines, you know, in your songs are Bowie-esque. Did you talk to him about that and say, hey, look, you know, you're such a huge inspiration. That's why I've done certain things.
We discussed music a lot and writing, and, you know, I was so in awe of him as a talent, as a songwriter and a lyricist and general artist, that I kind of delved into everything. Like with Tom Waits, I get right in, you know, I get under the bonnet. I get really, you know, under the hood with people and want to find out. Like, if I would have done this whole podcast just talking to the chef about how he does this, why he does that, how, you know, the techniques of it, because you learn so much from professionals and people that do their job. That I love that. So no, I'm into that. Just life is about learning, you know?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's why I always say you never have a negative experience if you learn something. You know,
Right.
you take
Knowledge
something
is
away
king,
from it.
I say.
Yeah. No,
Knowledge
that was
is king.
I had a T-shirt back in '89 from Stussy that said that knowledge is king. What is your, if any, relationship with Keanu Reeves? Because you have the John Wick thing, and then you have the Constantine thing. Are you guys buddies? And he just calls you and says, "Hey, look, let's do this."
I wish, but then I would have wished he'd done it earlier since Constantine. No, we're just good working professional buddies. I mean, did work with him, you know, the 2 weeks straight when I worked with him on Constantine, and I saw him for the John Wick premiere, and I really like him. He's really as famously as he's known for, which is to, you know, he's really keeps himself to himself, you know.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't say I'm buddies with him, but it's always great to see him.
Did you like the acting stuff? I mean, would you want to do more of that?
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, I loved it. I just did another movie just before quarantine began. I shot a movie called Three Nuns, not four, three. And that was really good with Bella Thorne, and she's a really tremendous, great actress. And I love the process. You know, you taking words, come to life, bring words from the paper that most people couldn't make sound real, and somehow actors bring them to life and give them character and meaning and depth and make you care about them. I think that's an incredible thing. I love it. And I love the pressure. I'm a junkie for pressure, you know, work pressure. Not jumping out of an airplane, idiot bungee jump. I don't get it. But I'm talking about like doing a job where, like, you know, like your chef has got to get those short ribs happening, make them all beautiful, present them to us looking good. It's pressure. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's pressure. You know, this is not 40 covers, but this is like, you know, doesn't want to screw it up for the television.
It'd be even more pressure if we were all there eating it. You know, Matty can get away with us not tasting the food, because if he screws it up and myself and Gavin have a bite and Nate have a bite and it's not very good, then we can tell you that to your face, even though that would never happen. I know that would never happen. I always say,
I believe your chef is going to get the short ribs right. It's a beautiful, easy cut of meat, you know.
To screw up, Gavin. So it's not like I'm working in Pro Tools and I can do another take, or I can copy and paste to kind of speak more to your
right. But listen, a lot of people would say what you're doing is more valuable than Pro Tools.
I always say, Gavin, that I never want to die stupid, going back to the bungee jumping and all those types of things. Like, I always think about how, if there were a headline would read for my death, and I'd never want it to say, you know, Jason Bailey dies bungee jumping off of bridge that was going to be torn down next week anyway, you know, high on crack or drunk or something like that.
Yeah, like wasn't it like Noriega? Wouldn't he die in like in a botched cosmetic surgery procedure? You know, that's not how you want to go out.
Yeah, that's definitely not how you want to go out. All right, Matty, you got the ribs ready to rock and roll? Let's take a look at them.
I am ready, brother.
The virtual tasting of ribs.
Tasting. I don't know if we can see them. We put them maybe in some sunlight for Gavin.
Yeah.
See if we can kind of see.
There we go.
Better.
Down. There we go. Down, right, down. Yeah, nice. There we go. Yeah. Wow, those look good, dude.
Thank you, brother.
What's that garnish with? Cilantro.
Oh, can't hear you. There you go.
Morel from the farmers market. So during quarantine, I still do farmers markets. It's easy, non-contact pickup, and I believe in supporting local.
Yeah.
A little morel for dressing, and it's actually great for immunity, believe it or not. So kind of killing.
Say sorrel.
Sorrel. I said morel.
Spell it. Spell it.
No, it's S. It's an S.
It's with an S.
It's a really famous sorrel dish with salmon. You know, there's a beautiful dish with salmon. Sorrel's beautiful.
Oh, so you know. Yeah, exactly. You know.
Yeah. Gavin, you're like who would have ever, like, you're really into this food cooking chef thing. I never
I can even talk to dyslexic chefs and know what they mean.
Hey, Matty, why don't you break apart that rib? I want to see what it looks like inside. If
Right,
you
let me
don't
grab the
mind.
knife real quick, and
Yeah, that's the best part, man. When that meat just falls off the bone. That's really, really, really good stuff. We got a nice little tour, Gavin, of your house. I mean, is this?
Sorry, I mean, I'm not trying to. I don't like that. You know, people are so bored of everything that even now it's like, it began with that terrible Imagine clip that people did. You know, like people in their big houses. Don't worry, we're all in it together. But I've got 12 acres. It was a bit unlucky. They meant really well by it. They got beaten by it. So I'm not trying to show you anything. I'm just trying to find the power of my phone because I didn't manage to plug it in last night. So now I'm like on that juice deficit all day long. You know?
No. I didn't mean anything like that. I'm just saying you got a lot of seats to fill when you grill and have people over. I mean, do we like to have people at the house or? Do you like to go to
I love that.
people's?
I love that. I had a big grill on 4th of July. It was the last one with a big party. But yeah, I love to have people around, and it's just fun. And I think that breaking bread and sitting and eating with people is just the greatest thing to do. You know, I don't go to the club that much. I don't do nightclubs and bars, stuff like that. So I love having people over. I'm famous for, in my small world, of having all my kids' friends. They come over, and then I cook for them because they're having play dates, and because I'm a single dad, you know, I don't have a play date. You know, usually the mums on my play dates that my kids go on, they're like, can one of the kids come over like 11 to 3:15? I'm like, how do you get it so exact? And when kids come to my house, they just like chill. They hang out for the day, and I'm going to feed them. But what I end up doing is I end up getting the parents. They come to pick their kids up, and I say, hey, you want a beer? They say, oh, sure. Well, actually, I'll take a wine. Are you okay? You want something to eat? There's plenty to go around, and then we end up with everyone sitting around eating. And it's a really, I love it. I get a real kick out of having my friends have their buddies eating at the table and their parents, because then everyone's relaxed, chilled out, everyone's happy, and you know, you feed the troops, you know, you feed the army, you feed the children, everyone's happy.
Do you find that some of your kids' friends' parents are huge fans and they find it uncomfortable sometimes to come over and kind of be like, do you remember, you know, have one of those things, those moments?
They more tell me after, you know, I don't know. I had someone come for lunch the other day who has been tested, by the way, practice social distancing. And it's only after that person left, I was told they were a really big fan of the band, but we didn't discuss music at all. I think she was being sort of cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not mentioning.
But you can
it.
tell.
Don't mention
the
war.
Yeah.
I think the Bush tattoo gave it away.
and the concert T-shirt from 1996 that she just happened to be wearing that day when she was picking up her kids.
Yeah, I think it could be.
All right, Matty, let's see that meat, man. Let's see it, brother. Let's see it. All right. You're gonna have to pick it up and put it up. There you go.
I got you, buddy. I got you.
Oh wow! Look at that.
Well,
dude, I'm so hungry right now.
What are you serving with this, chef?
Actually, I'm doing. In a minute, I'm going to do some Calabri tops, the stems, and kind of just grill those lightly.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Nice. How do you serve those?
Just going to put them with a touch of rice wine vinegar. Put them on the grill. Kiss them for probably about 7 minutes till they kind of wilt just a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't want to like overcook them. I kind of like them firm, like they're God intended. And we're just going to kind of drizzle them over that and we'll be good. You know, it's a nice beautiful lunch here in Atlanta.
You want to, Gavin, when you guys, when this whole thing, you know, whatever, and you guys are able to go out on tour and you come to town, you want me to try to set up, maybe do this again and have Matty cook you guys some food, maybe do this Asian short rib before you go up on stage?
Yeah, hell yeah. But we're gonna hit some balls first. No, we don't leave it at the show. We'd like hit some balls and then like eat some after we hit the balls, and then the show later. No one's working, everyone's chilled. You can have beer and I'll do the work. You don't have Chef working at the show. I want Chef to enjoy the show.
Yeah. So tennis, food for Matty, and then concert. That sounds like a good day right there. That sounds awesome. So I want to end this with saying this one thing to you. And I didn't start off this conversation like this for a reason, because I didn't want it to get weird. I am such a huge fan. Like, you are the perfect rock star to me. I'm such a huge fan. Every time, and there's only been twice that I've talked to you or interviewed you, I've screwed it up. And I don't think I did it this time. So the first time in the studio, I totally screwed it up. And then when I had the opportunity to come back and see you when you were in Atlanta and you had the little dog with you and whatnot, I was like, you're one of the only guys that I've ever interviewed in my 26-year career that I get nervous around. And I have no idea why. No idea. Just wanted to tell you that.
Thank you. Well, I think we've had a good, fun interview today, and I don't remember you messing anything up, so I think you're being a bit hard on yourself.
Maybe a little bit, but so, you know, I look forward to the new album. I look forward to the new tour. I wish you nothing but good health and safety out there. And when you come to town, we'll do this again like we were talking about, Gavin. Thank you so much, brother.
Right on. Yeah, it's a bit of a wind-up seeing these ribs and not being able to eat them, so it made me hungry.
Next time.
Tell me about it. I'm in Atlanta and I can't even eat them. He's not even at my house. I got to cook my own food. So, Nate, thank you very much. Matty J, thank you very much. Gavin Rossdale Bush, thank you, brother. We'll see you soon. Be safe, all right? Thank you.
Thanks so much. All right,
Bye.
see you guys.